show. Well, Obamacare, IRS, scandals almost everywhere. Later on in this program, we're talking to Congressman Scott Garrett about these things. You know, it brings to mind, we've been hearing so much about Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. And I guess the big question with the Affordable Care Act is it doesn't seem all that affordable. One of the things I was thinking about it was that it requires a lot of young people to help supplant it. But let's talk to an expert about it. Congressman Scott Garrett, he's with us on the phone. And let me just set this up just a bit, because if you're not familiar with the congressman, he's one of the best out there. He's one of the very few that can actually go toe-to-toe with the Washington elite. One of the things that strikes me when I see him on a committee, he's able to ask the important questions, and he's one of the few that also actually understands the questions he's asking. Congressman, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us.
I appreciate the chance, and I appreciate all the accolades, but, I don't think anyone is an expert on the Affordable Health Act, because at 2,300 pages, no one can completely understand that bill.
I alluded to it at the top here. You put it out on your website that it doesn't seem all that affordable. And I guess one of the things that disturbs me is the fact that when you look at this, the IRS is actually, they're a big part of the enforcement arm here. How much confidence should I have in that?
Just as much confidence that if you're not going to be subjected to an audit by this IRS that wants to go after conservative Republicans and otherwise. We should have no confidence. The IRS has shown themselves for what they are, and more importantly, as the investigations go on, and Darrell Issa, Congressman from California, who is conducting them, shows that it's not just two rogue agents, it's people all the way up the line. And so we should not have any confidence that Obamacare will be administered correctly, because it's in the hands of the IRS.
One of the things that I notice in the law within the Affordable Care Act, there seems to be a tremendous dependency on young people. At least that's what insurance professionals tell me. And I got to tell you, when I was in my early 20s, the last thing I thought about was health insurance or even going to the doctor. I thought I was going to live forever, or others that actually thought that, you know what, I'm going to live fast, die young, have a good-looking corpse. If they don't come on board, how much could the insurance premiums actually skyrocket?
Oh, well, that you hit on a crucial piece of this. In order for his grand plan to work, everyone has to come on board. And they have put this in their computations as well on doing this. They need the young people to come on who, as you said, are healthy in order to subsidize the older people, like me, who have higher medical expenses. The problem with their system is it's a take-all-comer system, so that young person can basically say, you know what, I'm not going to opt in and pay the exorbitant price that it will be cost for health insurance under Obamacare. I'd rather pay the responsibility fee. It's not called a tax, of course, by this administration. I'd rather pay that, which is not enough to offset the subsidy they need to pay in order to pay for the older people in this plan. So it's a house of cards about to collapse once it goes into effect.
Congressman, let me just take you back to your home state, if I could. Pretty important announcement coming from Governor Christie. He's now appointed Jeff Keisa to the U.S. Senate temporarily, because earlier this week he announced that he was holding a special election. That was a pretty surprising move. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I guess surprising is a good one. That's a good way to describe it. I've been down in D.C., obviously, since the day that he made that decision, and there is a lot of talk about the governor's decision. There was a question as to could he have simply made an appointment that would have lasted the entire, whatever it is, 16 months until next November. I know that Title 19, which is not to get into the weeds in this, I know that the law in New Jersey is somewhat convoluted, but there are some who said that would have been a better way to approach it. Pick a Republican, a conservative Republican now, who would take the seat all the way to the next year. And even if he's just a what do you want to call it, an interim one, who is not going to run, at least gives us a Republican governor for the next year and a half. Now, of course, what we will have to do is, as a Republican Party in the state, is gin up all of our energy and support for whoever becomes the winner in August, and make sure that he wins in October to carry out the rest of Lautenberg's seat to the end, and then of course turn right around in June and November of next year, and put our full force and effort in to make sure that he wins again next year. So it's going to be a lot of races that the party will have to engage in at this point.
You know, some have speculated that Governor Christie did this. He has, deeper political aspirations. He's been talked about as a possible presidential candidate in 2016. Do you think this somehow endears him to the Democratic Party and it wins him Democratic votes?
Let me think about that. So if you take the governor at his word, and why not? He said he's doing this so we get a Republican in right now. If the concerns that the Republicans have about this right now are equal to the Democrats that you pick up because he's just endeared himself with them, it's probably then at the end of the day a wash for the governor. In other words, not a positive or a negative going into the 2016 election.
Wow. It's a lot to think about. We've only got maybe a minute left. Let me bring you back to Washington, where you are right now, sir. The House Judiciary Committee is now considering, I guess, an investigation of Attorney General Eric Holder with regards to his investigations, or rather Justice investigations into the Associated Press and, of course, Fox News. And all this seems to surround about an issue, the president doesn't seem to know anything. And that brings up an issue that perhaps he's not being informed by his advisors. I was with former Governor Ed Rendell of Pennsylvania just earlier this week. He says the White House counsel should have resigned. What are your thoughts?
Sure. It really raises the old question of who knew what when. But what we're being told is nobody knew about anything at any time, which means that the president simply surrounds himself with people who are totally incompetent. It certainly seems that he is saying that. Give me one quick example. We had Secretary Lew before our committee the week before last, Secretary of Treasury. He was the president's chief of staff last year about this time. We asked him point blank, as chief of staff, when you were not only as chief of staff, but of course in the middle of the election season, did you know anything about the IRS? Did you know the fact that any of this was going on? Did you know the fact that the New York Times was reporting this investigating going on? His response was, nope, I didn't know anything about it. It is just baffling and unbelievable that the people all around the president had absolutely no knowledge about this. And if that's true, the public should not be calling for their resignation. I think the president should be probably asking for these people to explain themselves, and if they can't, step aside.
Do you think that the White House staffers are just trying to shield the president and protect him?
I think it is the normal course of conduct for any White House staff to protect the president. We've seen that throughout the generations, and I don't think this White House staff is no different than any other.
Wow. I am from the world of finance, Congressman. We've only got 30 seconds. Can you just give me a heads up what's happening in the Finance Committee right now?
So we're looking at some of the front burner issues, which is too big to fail. How do we really solve that? And also on my plate is GSEs, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. How do we finally wind them down so the public is no longer on the hook for the literally billions of dollars that are the risk there? So those will be the things we're working at very soon.
Well, that would be good to hear. Too big to fail, of course, is a very important issue. Congressman, thank you so much for taking your valuable time. We appreciate it.
Appreciate the chance. Take care now.